Happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully, you all are geared up for an exciting, wonderful weekend. This morning, I actually woke up very motivated, and totally forgot that today is a holiday, Juneteenth. So, if you are off today, definitely make the best of it. The stock market, she is closed. Oh, man. I actually don't have any golf plans today. I'm gonna try to actually play 9 holes this Sunday fun day. But it kind of really feels like a Sunday right now with the market being closed and stuff. So I'm recording this video a little later. If you are if you're new here, welcome. Oh man, woo! Oh man, my phone's blowing up. I got no more coffee left to drink. Everything's like going upside down right now. Oh man, it really is. So, if you are new, welcome. Typically I'm very much more organized, especially for the intro of my videos. If you enjoy my episodes, my content, definitely smash the like button, entirely free, and think about subscribing for more future videos in the future. I tend to put out videos on this channel Monday through Friday. Tomorrow I'm going to be relatively busy, so I may not get around to dropping a bonus video. But the market, she's closed, so theoretically this may be a bonus video as a whole. Gonna try to keep this video relatively short and simple. It's primarily about SpaceX, of when I myself am really going to consider actually buying SpaceX, since it is relatively new. There's loads of people on social media, some people that I actually do follow that have actually bought into the IPO. Historically and typically, IPOs buying into them are very risky. I actually got a little lucky on one IPO back during, I believe it was 2020, it was Airbnb. Made a little bit of money, but I mean, if we look at Airbnb since their IPO, Airbnb, I don't believe they have hit, past their IPO. Yeah, they have, definitely not hit past their IPO. That's actually very unfortunate, especially if you were buying Airbnb, let's say at the highs back in February 2021 and stuff. Yeah, this is definitely very unfortunate. So, a lot of companies have a very bad rap around, especially if you buy them on their IPO, because you got to understand why a company is going public. A company is going public to raise money, aka sell shares, aka to cause dilution, to take that money and hopefully invest it back into their profitable company. Not every single company that IPOs is like a SpaceX. Not every company that IPOs is like a Amazon. Not every company that IPOs is like a SoFi. But then again, SoFi, you can look at the chart and say, well, SoFi currently is just, well, we're not even up by 100% from the IPO price of, you're talking $10. I believe it's like $10 in something. Obviously, if you did buy SoFi at their straight offering of $10-11, you're still up right now. But if you were buying SoFi very much higher in the 20s, you could very well be down significantly. But IPOs are very highly risky. But this IPO is different, and you can definitely quote me on that. And here's why. Okay, so if you are new to this YouTube channel, like I said, welcome once again. I am a raging stock market, overall stock market bull. But I myself am a realist, not a idealist for short-term time spans. And short-term, I may be bearish, I may be neutral. But overall, long-term in the U.S. stock market, where America is going, I am always bullish. Very much bullish on America as a whole. There are people that you may hear and follow that don't really disclose this, and you may very well be misled. I'm a Christian myself. I don't really talk a lot of politics or religious views on this YouTube channel, but I will say that in my life, I'm about to be 38 years old next week, June 25th, baby. There have been times in my life where I've talked to people and I'm like, well, and then it turns out that they're an atheist. So you always gotta understand who you're listening to and what they believe in, because if you believe in something different, if you listen to what I'm saying, well, you could be like thrown off in something like that, okay? I'm definitely not here to mislead people. I'm here to really post what I'm doing personally to motivate people. Obviously, if you are aligned to what my core beliefs are and also what I see happening in the stock market, then we're going to get along just fine. That is pretty much, building a YouTube community 101. My main stock channel, Nightmare RH, 208,000 plus subscribers. Video game channel. Obviously, I've built a community of video gamers that are very much aligned to how I play video games. It is what it is. But, going back to 2019. So 2019, I was 30 years old, and I really wanted to get into the market. 31 years old. I also have a military background. I'm out of the military now. Did 15 and a half years in the United States Marine Corps. 2019 was my last deployment overseas, my last Afghan deployment. And this is me pretty much the day I got home from Afghanistan. I started to really get into like the market. And I remember I was actually like in Afghanistan still. 2019, I was actually watching friggin' Netflix. In friggin' on the small base that I was actually on. I was also an infantry marine too, but yeah, there was high speed internet 2019. Go to friggin' my previous deployments. 2009 was the first time I went overseas. In 2011, 2012, we had zero friggin' internet, so very different. But I was actually listening to Elon Musk pretty much do an earnings call, and it was the first time I ever listened to an actual earnings call. I ended up saving up quite a bit of money from that deployment, a little bit over about 30 grand. My pay grade at that time was an E6, a staff sergeant. So I was definitely making more than the average like dude over there. Not to mention, I was a bachelor at the time, not married, no kids at all too. So pretty much any money that I made was just directly into my checking savings account. I was looking at investing about 30 grand. I also had savings as well too, so maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And I remember looking at Tesla back in friggin' it was September, October of 2019. Let's go all the way back. Okay, so I started listening to Elon Musk back in, it was right around this. I remember listening to this earnings call. Elon Musk said, and Tesla, of course, this is all the post stock splits. I believe Tesla was trading at like 60, 70 bucks a share. This was, like I said, obviously they did a stock split in 2020. They did another stock split too. This one was a 3-for-1. This one was a 5-for-1. So actually, to be honest, I don't even remember what the price of Tesla actually was. But I do remember this. Musk said that Q1 of 2020 is going to be our year. Q1. And what ended up happening April and pretty much Rona and everything? Well, obviously Tesla had a gigantic run-up and then very much a fall because of Rona, and then a solid massive growth span. EVs were going friggin' crazy. Their EPS, their revenue, everything about the company, EBITDA, margins, everything going bonkers, right? Why didn't I pull the trigger on Tesla? To be perfectly honest, I was actually a little scared. I'm not gonna lie. I never bought stock before, so I mean, I was a newbie. Okay, just a straight up newbie. But here's the thing: buying Tesla back in 2019 is very different than if I bought Tesla back, let's say when they IPO'd in friggin', oh boy, you're talking 2010. Very, very different, okay? Very, very different. So, how does this tie in to SpaceX? Well, it ties into SpaceX on many, many different levels. One, it is an Elon Musk company. So, before you even look at evaluation, before you even think about anything, it is a Elon Musk company, okay? That name itself adds higher evaluation. Okay, there were some bears on CNBC all this week pretty much talking about how SpaceX is overvalued on a fundamental... the evaluation doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay, the evaluation really doesn't make sense. I will say that, but it's an Elon Musk company. That is what it is. It's a Musk company. If Musk were to drop dead, would Tesla get cut in half? Sure it would. Would SpaceX get cut in half? Sure it would. Does anybody remember what ended up happening? I was not in the stock market during this time period, but does anyone remember what happened to Apple when, oh boy, friggin', oh man, I'm drawing a blank here. Steve Jobs pretty much was resigning, like the chief marketing guru of Apple. I remember reading the headlines. I was, what year did Steve Jobs resign from Apple? Hold on, I gotta pull this up here. What year did Steve Jobs resign from Apple? Something tells me 2013. Actually, no. Steve Jobs was ousted 1985. Okay, well, no shit, AI. Talking about pretty much when he left 2011. Resigned from Apple for health issues. There we go. 2011. 2011, I was 22, 23 years old. August 2011. Did the stock price not go down substantially? Sure it did. It got hit. Let's go ahead and pull up Apple here. Apple, where are you? This is definitely one stock that I don't really follow because I really do feel like the big monster swoosh has... I'm not saying Apple is not a terrible company. May, June, July 2009. Okay, maybe it wasn't that big of a downward swing as I thought it really was. Well, it made friggin' headlines. Let's just go ahead and say that. But you want to know what? It is very much debatable about Steve Jobs versus Elon Musk. I will say that. By all means, absolutely love Steve Jobs and what he did for Apple. Rest in peace, Steve. But one of the reasons why SpaceX is trading very rich right now is because it is a Musk, like Elon Musk company. And there's so many people that look at SpaceX and they say the same opportunity is there, just like if you bought, let's say, Tesla back in 2000 and even 2010. I mean, it's all over social media. People are saying the opportunity right now is the same like 2010 Tesla. Yeah, you're going to have to wait a while until this company becomes a $20 trillion company. You're talking about a 10x from now, but this company is going to be a $20 trillion company someday, right? That is a very stretch statement. Now, if this company's valuation was, let's say, 200 bill to get to 2 trillion, I mean, that would be very much different, right? The crazy thing about it is that when you go ahead and look at the revenue, though, the revenue behind this company, it's very large. So if you are a very new investor or a new trader in the market, we are very much blessed in the time period of AI. I primarily use Gemini for a lot of things. ChatGPT is wonderful, even Grok, Claude too. A lot of AI is significantly great to just really pull data, pull information. Obviously, always do your due diligence. But I basically just pretty much asked AI straight off the bat some basic questions. I asked Gemini about pretty much about a CAGR, compound annual growth rate, pretty much the revenue, pretty much about evaluation, what the market is looking at, fair evaluation, because I would love to really own SpaceX someday, but right now is my personal strategy. I'm not really going to pull the trigger on shares until pretty much this ends up happening. So before I go ahead and get to that, let's go ahead and look at what Gemini is basically pretty much saying. So SpaceX officially launched historical IPO under the ticker, blah, 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 yep. Okay, so revenue growth and CAGR, compound annual growth rate. Whenever you see somebody saying CAGR, understand that they're talking pretty much about what the company is doing for a growth rate on a yearly basis. A lot of terminology gets spread out all the time on Wall Street videos, and it really does suck because, like, they really assume all their audience knows the verbiage, and if you don't know the verbiage to something, like I said, we're very much blessed in a time where you can look stuff up. So if you're unsure of what something means, always look it up and always self-educate yourself in that aspect. So revenue trajectory 2023, obviously we see a very large amount of year-over-year growth, which is very substantial. And I mean, this does very much have like the eye on a lot of stuff. Not to mention the one thing about SpaceX that is sending people bonkers right now is basically what Elon Musk is primarily doing is keep it simple. What he is doing, or what he has done, is he has loaded up on an abundance of pretty much hardware, primarily chips. And he is now offering to rent them out. Yeah, how crazy is that? So they're making money by being a landlord, essentially. And they're also making money from a main business aspect. That's pretty much like you being essentially, let's say, Blockbuster in a way. If anyone remembers that glorious company, I do. I friggin' miss Blockbuster, man. Yeah, Netflix took it over, right? Actually, you wanna know what? I'm gonna go ahead and use Netflix as a better example. So let's say Netflix gets you, let's say Netflix's main business model is basically subscription based, right? You sign up for a subscription, okay, it's a monthly subscription, yada, yada, yada. Maybe you get an annual discount. And then let's say Netflix releases, let's say, like a movie, and they're like, hey, if you want to see this movie, it's going to be a one-time fee of this amount. Okay, maybe that's like a different... Yeah, that's probably not... That's probably actually a terrible analogy. But it's basically that SpaceX has a main core mission, but they're also making revenue over here, which is going to be a substantial driver, okay? And it's leading a lot of people to really wonder, like, hey, did they do this on purpose? Which Elon Musk, he's the richest person in the world for a reason. They probably did it on purpose. I'm not gonna lie. The guy is a friggin' genius, okay? Another thing too, CAGR. So 2023-25, obviously private company. 34%. That is fun. That when you have a compound annual growth rate of something like above 20%, it's very, let me put it this way. SoFi is growing 30+%. AMD is growing 30+%. Meta as a Mag 7, I believe Meta has a 33% growth rate. Like, the company is growing substantially. Look at a company like PayPal. PayPal has a 4% like CAGR. And then you look at a company like Adobe has 14%. You're like, okay, you know, this company's growing 4%. This company's growing friggin' 14%. Whoa, wait a second. You got 30% over here? You got, you got like 33. Like, it's a big deal. And especially if they're going to substantially be on a utter tear in the future for their growth rates, that's what a lot of people are really justifying to very much buying into this IPO, especially retail. Retail is floating this around social media like crazy. Current trading 185, 2.1T. Now this is absolutely like ridiculous, okay? Because you look at a company like SoFi that's valued half as like a bank or a fintech. It's crazy, right? They're trading at like just when you're trading on such a high amount of your price to sales ratio, it is just like the evaluation doesn't make sense. And that's why you see so many Wall Streeters are ranting and raving saying it just doesn't really make sense, right? Institution fair value obviously coming down significantly. You're talking about, okay, 94. Maybe it could make a little sense. Wall Street, pretty much bear case. Obviously even lower. You're talking about, let's say, high 50s. For like a technology-based company is obviously going to trade much richer than a staples company. Staples company, pretty much like energy drinks, Walmart's, like, something like that. Obviously banks, technology-driven companies, you're going to get these crazy valuations, like pretty much ultimately Palantir, especially friggin' anything like AI related, right? But yeah, you look at the data and you're like, it just really doesn't make sense, right? You have a company trading insanely overpriced here. So why is this price pretty much holding? Well, for a couple reasons. One is because a lot of people are in lockup periods, which means they can't sell their shares. I believe it is 60 days for them to sell their shares. Hold on one second. When does the lockup on SpaceX end for sell shares? You're talking lockup. For some reason, I thought it was 60 days. Don't quote me on that. I honestly thought it was 60 days, but it might actually be SpaceX lockup period generally runs 90 to 180 days. Okay. So that's also very true too. But here's the reality. Like I said, this is a Elon Musk company, and that's one of the reasons why this company is trading so friggin' rich is because of Elon Musk. But the revenue on this company is just something insane. We're going to be getting OpenAI, which is going to be another massive IPO soon. Does OpenAI not have revenue to really back it? Maybe they actually have somewhat a little better revenue than SpaceX? Do they can they not like back that? There's a reason why they got such a high evaluation. This is my strategy when it really comes to SpaceX. And this pretty much goes for any company out there, because I learned this especially with a company like Palantir. Palantir, so many people were screaming and ranting and raving saying Palantir is going to go back down from 123 bucks all the way down to probably $42. Ironically, Palantir right now is near pretty much their high back in February before Liberation Day last year. Typically around 125, 128 bucks, right? Obviously, Palantir went on to being 200. I think the high was 210, 215 or something. Just because a company is overvalued doesn't make it crash. You need a reason for a company to go down. Okay? Screaming that a company is overvalued, it does nothing. Especially if there is a cult-like surrounding of Musk around the company. It does absolutely zero to really affect it. What is something that can get SpaceX to very much soar to the downside? Let's say to near IPO level, or let's even say SpaceX goes down to $100. If SpaceX were to break $100, let's say it goes down to 90, 80, maybe 70, what would cause that to happen? Well, one, dilution. When you are a shareholder in a company and a company needs to raise capital, they dilute you, which means they create more shares, which brings down the stock price. Dilution, it is very real. I have been in many companies that have been diluted to literally keep the lights on. SoFi, I have been in SoFi since February of 2024. They have been diluting shareholders to grow their business, not to pay their bills and keep their lights on. Very different. SpaceX would theoretically dilute to pretty much expand the business. I don't really think SpaceX would dilute to pay themselves, to keep themselves afloat. But they would definitely dilute to raise money to expand their business. It's not what they plan on doing to get data centers essentially into space. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be very expensive, and there's going to be problems. So what would cause the stock price to really crash? One, you pretty much have dilution that's going to happen. Two, something fundamentally changes in the company. What would that be? Let's say, hypothetically, we start putting data centers on the moon, and what if, theoretically, Elon Musk says, yeah, we didn't realize the moon is a lot more such and such, and we need to now install a new building to look at, something, right? Something that would throw off the market. That would be a gigantic change. Yeah, we didn't realize what the moon was going to be like. All of our simulations was, something different. Now we got to kind of fix this problem. We have an obstacle. That would send the stock price to all-time lows in a snap of the fingers. Okay, not a snap of the fingers. Like, it wouldn't happen overnight, but it would happen during a short period of time. So I personally would love to buy this stock. I am in the boat that the stock is very much, it's trading very rich. I personally believe that there needs to be more clarity on, one, the business as a whole. We definitely need to see what the company is really doing for dilution. And I really want to be listening to a lot of earnings calls and really just want to get a better glimpse of the future for this company. Am I overall long-term bearish on SpaceX? I am. Definitely 100%. I personally would not be a buyer until there is a fundamental change in the company that sends the stock price down, and until the company has addressed how to fix that problem. Because understand this, when a stock price, aka a company, gets sent down because there is a fundamental change to the business model, when they go ahead and say, hey, we have solved this problem, the stock does not automatically recover, okay? It takes performance to happen. What is a prime example of this? I'll show you what is a prime example. SoFi. SoFi is a great prime example. So, SoFi, pretty much, 2024, when I started buying into this great company, 2024, I remember pretty much listening to an earnings call pretty much at the end of 2023, and I had this stock on my radar for a while, and the stock very much pushed up in December. We had very much a pullback. Earnings came out in January. We sold off. And then I said, you want to know what? I'm going to start buying shares of this company. And pretty much we just trended lower. What happened at the beginning of 2024? The management team, aka Anthony Noto, said, hey, we're kind of really doing a restructure of our balance sheet right now to set ourselves up on this gigantic growth rate that we're going to be going on for 2026 and 2027. We are going to be going on a multi-year cycle of a 30-plus growth rate. And I said, yeah, I want to start buying this company. So with SpaceX, what's going to end up happening is, watch, there's going to be a fundamental problem in the company, and it's going to send the stock price soaring down. Send it down. And then the fundamental change is going to happen, but the stock price is not going to go up magically. It's going to take time. I myself, along with many other people, are probably going to be building a position, and then we're just going to really sit back and just say, hey, yeah, just let yourself run. So, until SpaceX oh, and by the way, there is not a company in the U.S. stock market that has not had a problem. There is not a company, okay? Apple actually got delisted, and they ended up coming back. They were actually sent to the pink sheets, oh man, what is it called when you get delisted? I can't think of the actual name. But Apple got delisted from the Nasdaq. They ended up going to the pink sheets. Is what it's called, over-the-counter trading. OTC. There you go, OTC. If you don't know what the OTC market is, you basically get delisted off the the Nasdaq, New York Stock Exchange. You got some brokers you can't even trade buy your stock. It's terrible. Apple also did a reversed stock split, which means they take shares away. Very, very bearish to do. Not every company comes back. But here's the reality. There's going to be a problem for SpaceX. And when that problem occurs, I will then consider starting to buy shares. So on a closing note, holy balls, this video is long. Definitely, if you're building a investing trading strategy, this may be a good way to kind of really start, to really look at some stuff, is to really understand that when there is a fundamental problem in a company, and when the company fixes that problem, but the stock price does nothing, that could very well be a signal to really, hey, if you believe in the management team, and if the management team is executing, might be a good time to accumulate a position. So I will see everyone maybe tomorrow for a new video. I got to start doing some live streams on this YouTube channel. If you enjoyed today's episode, definitely smash the like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you all later. Bye.